These little pickles coming back at you. That's right, the Pickle Pod for the people. We are still trying to figure out what in the living hell is going on in the world today, and hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on that, or at least make you question whether or not this is a simulation we are in. And with that, my brother and Brian, look, hyena. I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little bit impressed with that intro, because I did not plan that. That was all off the top of the head.
Well, sometimes that's the best sleep. I mean, hey, you're not a wrestling guy, but right off the top of Stone Cold Steve Austin's mind, he got back from a hospital after getting stitches in his face, his lips, for King of the Ring back in, I think it was 96, and had found out that Jake the Snake Roberts had cut a promo on him while he was gone that was on the biblical side. And Stone Cold, at the moment's notice, laid out the Stone Cold, Austin 3:16 says, "I just whooped your ass."
Ah.
and that became super huge famous, and that hit him right then, right there.
Yeah, sometimes it's the moment of inspiration, should we say.
And that's the rest
of the story.
Yeah. I was going to say the rest of the brine.
That's the rest of the brine. So again, it's literally, it's been what now? 3 days since we did the last pod. And
I got to tell you, I got my fire sticks. I've got my hot dog roasters. Everything's on fire, Steve. Everything's burning.
Everything's burning. And since then, I'll just give you a moment before we jump into the news. Since then, we have discovered that P. Diddy had like 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube and whatever in his house mansion.
Just taking care of a lot of kids.
That's all it is. It turns out
he's doing a lot of babysitting.
It's no big deal. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to see.
I hadn't
here.
heard that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 bottles of baby oil. It's like, first off, please tell me you're not using that as lube, because if you're using that as lube, I mean, I could see 1,000
throwing some gravel in it.
I could see having 1,000 bottles of baby oil if you were going to do like oil wrestling or something like that. Like if you were going to have a big party and then, everyone get in the oil wrestling pit. This'll be fun. No, it won't. It'll be gross, but okay. But you've had that happen.
You're a Game of Thrones person, right?
Yeah.
The lady with the castle where the floor opens up and it's just a pit.
Oh, yeah,
They throw people to their deaths. So this is an oil wrestling pit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that happened. The big political counterpart story to that is what's going on with Mark Robinson in North Carolina. I mean, look, when they can't even read what he wrote,
giggle.
When they can't even read what he wrote on air, like it's that bad. Like the reporter's like, yeah, there's this, and this, and these are the only things that legal would let me read on air. The rest is that bad. And I don't even know if they put that in print. You're going to have
to wait for the rest of it on tonight's Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Super Raw with guest star P. Diddy.
Lordy, I need a 40.
Yeah. So it was like, I guess some of the stuff he said, like, all right, it's very rare that I get tongue-tied on something, but this is very difficult to kind of figure out because apparently there were three aspects to this. One was the sexual aspect, which apparently he wrote a bunch of comments on some sort of black porn site and wasn't smart enough to use a different email or call name on it, right? And like it was like Little Soldier or whatever the fuck it was. And that's one aspect to it. Now, apparently these comments that were written on this site were like 10 years old. I don't have a problem with that.
called himself Big Dick Robinson Crusoe. At least.
He could have called himself fucking anything, but he used it was like he was branding, right? So everything was the same. So, all right, look, I'm not going to criticize anyone for anything that they write on a porn site. I'm just not. And I'm not going to get upset at him because he was on a porn site. And no matter what his freak is, whatever he's into, and oddly, it turns out some of it was transgender and yeah.
No.
Yeah. So apparently one of the things he said was something to the effect of, I like this because it something to the effect of, I like this because all right, summary. I like the fact that there's dick involved here, but I prefer that the top half is tits. So, I mean, it was like, ladyboy porn or whatever, right? All right. Again, I'm not going to criticize that. I'm not going to hold that against somebody at all. All right. I'm not, just like I don't hold against Trump that, he was with.
I mean, let's face it. One side of the political sphere, one hemisphere, if you will, is obsessed with sex.
Yes, that's the problem.
Context.
That's the only problem I have with it. Is the hypocrisy.
Look what they're doing to Kamala. I saw one person refer to her as knees up Kamala.
Yeah.
Or knees up camel toe. And it's like, really? Really? How about we look at your search history?
Yeah. So, honestly, I don't have a problem with in general. But where I do have a problem with that particular story is the hypocrisy in it, because this is the same guy who's come out and been very hardcore against transgender, very hardcore against LGBTQ, very hardcore against abortion, the list goes on and on. So that's part of it. But it seems like that's almost
that's the MO of the phobes.
It is, all right, because you have had more sexual things of question come out of the Republican Party. Like, you almost expect a Democrat, you expect a Democrat to have some sort of sordid sexual history, because Clinton kind of plowed that field for us, so to speak, right? So you almost expect it. You've had Kennedy, there's been enough presidents in the recent history that were Democrat that had some sort of sexual scandal go on, that it's almost like, yeah, okay, but at least they don't make a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? Like, the Democrats don't go, I hate women who have sex with presidents, right? So my question is, why do you see this, at least in your opinion, why do you see the Republican Party being so against LGBTQ, first off? And yet, when they had their convention, which one's the gay dating site? Do you know? Is it Grindr? Is that it?
I don't know. I'll take your
whatever the gay the big gay dating site is for just hookups, right? Not for dating. I guess it's just for hookups. It exploded. When they had their RNC, it was in that area in Wisconsin there. Apparently, it went down for a couple hours because there was so much activity. So it's this idea that, are you so self-loathing that you can't admit that it would be better for you to have a different point of view on this than to continuously lead the lie? And that's what I don't get about the Republicans. Look, if you're gay, you're gay. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. But you should be on the side of or you should be on the political side of the fence that is going to defend your right to be gay, even if you disagree with everything else. It's one thing to say, I disagree with their economic policies. It's one thing to say, I disagree with their immigration policies. But those things probably really, in the end, are not going to overall impact you as much as anti-LGBTQ policies. So you might want to rethink what side of the fence you're standing on. And I think you're starting to see that, though. You're starting to see logical Republicans endorse Harris in droves. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
There was just like another 100 Republicans that were from multiple previous administrations, Republican administrations, that have just like come right out and they're like, nope, she's the one. If that means I'm not a Republican or a rhino or whatever, it's go ahead, call me whatever name you want. Like, I admire those people because they have the courage at least to recognize that Trump's just a fucking clown. That even if you totally loved all of his policies, the way he speaks and some of the things he's talking about are absolutely against everything Republican. So with that, what do you say we hit the news?
Well, really quick, I want to say it's always the phobes, the people blasting whomever that gets found out, if you will. I mean, one of my favorite subjects is Pastor Ted Haggard. I don't know if you're familiar with Ted.
Oh, yeah, Haggard. I'm familiar with Ted.
Pastor Ted got busted with some underage boy prostitutes.
Yep.
A while ago, several years ago. But that guy, just hearing him speak made me like, ugh.
Anytime you have somebody that's like totally against a group of people, I think, usually what ends up happening is you find out that really what it is their own self-hatred for knowing that they're actually part of that group. And I think it has to do with religion. So you've seen that happen with multiple like religious figures, right? Especially like the yes. evangelical TV ministries guys. Like, I'm waiting for something to fucking come down on Joel Osteen. There's something dark in his fucking closet. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, being a resident of Texas, we know that during the hurricane, when people were scrambling looking for safety in Houston, he locked the doors.
Because he had new carpet.
New carpet. Can't have the carpet messed up. So yeah, anyway, other news. We have the Ohio Sheriff Bruce Zukowski, who said that he wants the addresses of the people with the Kamala Harris, signs and her supporters. He wants a list of their addresses to send illegal immigrants to their houses if the laughing hyena gets in office.
Okay, so we know that he's an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't. I'm sorry. Like,
thank you for volunteering that information, Mr.
How is that showing that you're taking your position as sheriff serious? Because I'm confused here, but sheriffs are usually elected officials. A. B. They're supposed to protect the citizens. Okay. He could argue, well, these are not citizens. But if you're taking what you think are, dangerous people, rapists and people that have been let out of this insane asylum and they're going to eat the dogs and the cats and all that, and you're going to dump them on the front lawn of people who have a different political ideology than you, that doesn't seem like you're doing your job. And that means, you should be voted out of office, if not impeached immediately for commentary.
Yeah, he also is running for re-election, by the way. And for the people out there who are hearing this that maybe live in Ohio, maybe don't live in Ohio, maybe not even live in the United States, because there are people downloading us across the world. I'm just asking you, please, whatever you do, do not call the authorities and report that he has a gerbil trapped in his buttocks. Do not call his office asking for help.
We don't have his number, do we, to make sure that they don't call that number?
I do not have his number.
What is where is he at in Ohio?
I can safely say that I'm almost positive that he's not in Portage County.
Definitely would. I would definitely wouldn't call the Portage County sheriff.
Yeah, I would not call them and let them know that
their sheriff.
The worst thing, irresponsibly, someone could set up a Grindr account for him.
That would be horrific.
Looking for immigrants.
Yeah, to
I'm just
try to
saying,
use
don't,
the immigrant,
whatever you do.
preferably a homosexual immigrant, maybe a Haitian hemophiliac, that would be using their genitalia as like, I don't know, bait to get that hamster out of this particular sheriff's ass. We would never in a million years suggest that you call
That would make us so
the
sad.
Portage County Sheriff's Department to inform them that their sheriff is into Haitian hemophiliac homosexuals and gerbils. That would not be a good thing to do. We do not encourage it. And maybe before the end of the show, we will have that phone number to make sure that you don't call it accidentally, randomly.
It was a butt dial.
Fucking Siri was listening.
And in other news, a data scientist by the name of Thomas Miller of Northwestern University, who correctly predicted the 2020 Electoral College map, has said that under Biden, it would have been a landslide according to his numbers and calculations for Trump. But since Harris has taken over, and now even more so after the debate, he is predicting, I think he said, 486 electoral votes going to Harris.
So that would be like more than has historically ever happened, wouldn't it? By any president?
Yes. He is predicting a landslide.
So let's think about that for a second. Is that good or bad for Harris? And I mean it in this sense.
No, I see where you're going with this.
I don't know what's better for her, to have a landslide that is so decidedly a win that no matter how he tries to spin his bullshit after it's announced, he's unable to gain any traction. Or if it's better that it comes out very close to what the win would have been in 2020, or what the win was in 2020.
I think that it will not matter. I see trouble ahead no matter who wins. And I'm not saying that the left is going to get outraged if Trump wins. I'm saying his people are stupid enough to start feeling comfortable with attacking people if he wins. And I think that they will equally be outraged if he loses, that they will cause trouble.
Yeah, I think
there's going to be no winner in this election cycle because, well,
the American people will lose. Yeah.
His cult of personality.
But I am hopeful for a landslide. I just don't know which way it works out better as far as like shutting down the entire movement and like even getting to the point where even his most loyal followers are like, well, dude, come on. There's no way that they were able to orchestrate that. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking
his
lost.
Most loyal followers are never going to wake up.
Maybe not.
It is truly a cult of personality. He has already said that he will accept the election results as long as he wins.
Yeah, and you know, just as recently as I think it was last night, he was, I guess, at some sort of Jewish, you know, speaking event, right, where he was supposed to be trying to win over the Jewish vote. But what did he do? He basically said, if I lose, it's the Jews' fault. Which, again, he doesn't seem to understand how that language, even if
read the room, man. Read the room.
Well, not just read the room, okay? It's this idea that I don't think that he understands that what his intent may be versus what his words are creates a dog whistle. There's some sort of vacuum in between his head and his mouth that it always comes out as a dog whistle. And what he did was essentially tell that entire group of people that don't vote for me and you got a target on your back. So that's the thing with him, is he doesn't even understand, right? He didn't even understand when he's doing that. Because every one of those meatheads that are the most devout, most uneducated, but most devout Trump followers, they hear it the way that they want to hear it.
Yes.
And everything
absolutely.
is a call to action. Everything to them is the president is speaking to me personally. It's my call to action. That's how January 6th happened. They all heard it as a call
Look
to
at
action.
Charlottesville. Another person died there.
They heard it as a call to action, you know?
Jews will not replace us.
Right.
And they all dressed as him. That's something that people don't talk about. They had torches and they were all dressed as Trump on the golf course.
Yeah, it's just khakis and fucking polo, you know? So I think that that's something that I want to actually explore is this idea that, well, first that there's, and we've always known this, that there's hypocrisy on both sides when it comes to politics. That's fine. All right. Well,
that's always going to happen.
We can overlook that. All right. Because that's always been there and that's always going to be there. There's no way around that. But what I have discovered recently, because over the years, I've gotten into many conversations with big Trump supporters. And even if it was only about a news story that I'm like, well, what's your take on this? Or, you know, like, for example, the call between him and Zelensky, where it was clearly, I mean, if you know how to read and you read the transcript, it was a quid pro quo and a fucking story. Mm-hmm. There was no real way around that, right? And I had several guys that I knew. I said, here, I printed it out. I said, read this. You know, in just that paragraph, I had it highlighted. I go, how do you read that? And every one of them was like, there's no problem there. He's not asking for nothing. I'm like, you do speak English, right? Like, I felt like Samuel Jackson in fucking Pulp Fiction, right? English. Do you speak it, motherfucker? I really felt that way because it's like, how can you read that and not? So I've realized over the last, 8-9 years or whatever it's been, having conversations with people who are true diehard Trump supporters, right? That everything is about the defensive. And it's always a whataboutism, right? So no matter what you bring to them, they go, well, yeah, what about Hillary? Or what about Obama? Or what about Nancy Pelosi? So they don't have an argument. They just have a what about that's in their back pocket because they're parroting what they heard on, right-wing talk radio or read off of, whatever right-wing site that they're subscribed to. But more importantly, I realized in just the recent few weeks that I actually had a better argument. And I don't mean a better argument about whether or not his policies are better than a Democrat's, not whether he is more presidential, not whether or not he is more respected by other world leaders, none of those things, right? Because I kept getting to this point where I'm like, I'd be in the conversation and people just didn't understand, like, you're not convincing me. And I didn't even understand this until recently. I'm like, you're not convincing me with these arguments. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and I'm willing to give credit where credit is due. I really am. I'm willing to give credit where credit is due, but the arguments that you're making on why this guy should be president over anyone else, including the homeless guy that's collecting change on the corner of 5th and 12th, none of this makes sense. And then I realized, oh, I get it. I didn't like him before he was in politics. I didn't think he was a person of character before he was in politics. And that's what I kind of want to explore with you because, obviously you have known me your entire life and I've known you almost my entire life. So you know that this is something that has always been an issue for me. I've always kind of decided whether I liked or disliked somebody based on the character that they showed me. So I started thinking back. I'm like, dude, I haven't liked Trump since like 88, right? I didn't like him that long ago because I thought that he was just a smarmy kind of fuck. And even back then, he was saying that he was a Democrat, right? He multiple times had identified as a Democrat in the late 80s, early 90s, and it probably going all the way up into the early 2000s. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, no. This is how you have that conversation. And I think people need to have this conversation with their Trump-loving friends and family. If you look at it just based on character, and that's it, who do you pick? Who's got better character? And if you are of the mind that you're going to answer Trump, you're just lying to yourself. Okay? And like I said, I'm not taking into account the fact that he's been married and divorced 3 times. I'm not even looking at that. When you're, businessman, especially, at the level that he was working at. And again, this is giving him all the credit. He, say what you will, but I mean, I don't have any towers that have my last name on it. Neither do you. So we got to give a little credit. He got something done. Even if it was the biggest fucking business grift in the history of time. Doesn't matter. Business is business. I'm willing to forgive and give you all of that. Okay? But don't tell me he was a good businessman. Because he multiple times did not pay workers and would run them through the court system until they could no longer afford
their
participate. Right?
Correct.
So there are a lot of suppliers and workers that got fucked from Trump. And I don't think that that's something that shows good character. It's great for business, right? He's worried about his bottom line. But when you're
bring up he fucked up a casino. How do you
this is my point. How do you bank
casino?
Like that's their job is to print
not
money.
Just one. There are multiple of them.
Right. So I say, well, I find it difficult to believe he was actually a good businessman. Okay. He might be great at
his charity.
He might be great at real estate. He really might be potentially, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's a real estate genius. But how fucking stupid do you have to be to bankrupt casinos? Multiple casinos. How fucking stupid do you have to be to grift your own charity? How stupid do you have to be, or how low of a level of character do you have to do? I mean, for fuck's sake, he went into a Twitter war with Rosie O'Donnell forever.
Yeah.
It wasn't entertaining. It was just sad. It was a sad little man learning how to call other people names so that he could become president. And I'll tell you, like, the real breaking point for me, right? The real breaking point for me was, when he came down the gold escalator and he said what he said, that was one thing, right? But I did find him entertaining, at least, because of the way that he was just bulldozing through the Republicans. So I thought it was entertaining. And then I realized it was dangerous. Then I realized it was a man with zero character running for office. And then I heard him on the bus. You can just grab him by the pussy and they'll let you. And I thought, okay, this is a man of no moral character. This is a person that should not be anywhere near the Oval Office. And there's nothing that you can tell me that prior to him actually becoming president, there's no behaviors that you can show me prior to, and again, I'm going to say prior to even him announcing that he was running for president. This is giving you everything in the argument. But his character prior to that was lacking.
When it comes to character, his cult of personality kind of deify him in a way, they always, he's just like you and me, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to ask you, Steve. I don't personally. So I'm going to reach out to you. Do you know anybody that shits on a golden toilet?
No.
I'm inclined to think that person who would shit on a golden toilet has nothing in common with.
Look, I'll take it a step further, okay? I will say, if all you did was look at a picture of his residency at Trump Tower and then look at Mar-a-Lago, that's it. Just those two.
Yep.
You would not find anyone in your realm that would even come close to that kind of just disgusting display. You know, like, what are you trying to be? What are you trying to be? Because if you're going to say that you're trying to be like the people, that's not like the people. You know,
how many underfunded and on government assistance rappers those could make grills for?
Just out of the toilet alone. You over there talking shit.
Rappers out there.
You're talking shit.
Appreciate that metal for their grills. Just saying.
So let's contrast that, right? And I know it was a setup thing, right? But there's a video that was going around, I don't know, a week or two, maybe three. Well, it was after she picked Walz. So it was like 3 or 4 days after Kamala picked Walz as her running mate. And they're in a gas station. And he's on one side of the aisle, and he picks up a bag of Doritos and goes, "Oh, look at what I found." And that's her favorite, like, snack is Doritos. That's somebody I can relate to. And it's not even about relating.
I've got a bag of Doritos right here.
Yeah, it's not even about relating as much as it is, don't lie to me. Don't tell me that Trump is your pick because he speaks like you speak. Well, what you're saying is, and many speech therapists have said this, what you're saying is you want somebody that talks to you at a 3rd grade level.
Yes.
Now, I've heard as low as 3rd and I've heard as high as 5th grade, but I've never heard anything higher than 5th grade.
No.
Okay. So it can only be one or two things. Either he's so brilliant that he knows how to dumb down his speech in a way to talk to the average man, but if that's the case, then he's assuming everyone else around him is a 3rd to 5th grader.
Let me pull a Chris Farley on you. And you remember just how mad he looked when she brought up Wharton during the debate?
Yeah, that was cool, huh? That was cool. That was so cool. God,
I wish they had
awesome.
Little temperature gauges on each person.
Well, it was
just so I could see if he went up to 10 degrees.
Yeah, I guarantee he had to have. I mean, you could see it even through the orange.
You could see him sweating on his lip.
Yes.
His hair on the sides of his head turned darker because he was sweating.
Yeah, he knew he was under fire. But this is my point, though, is like, do you want a guy who clearly speaks as a 3rd grader, 4th grader, running the country and being the most powerful person in the world with the nuclear codes? Do you want him do you want him in that position because he was smart enough to talk to you like you're an idiot? Or do you want him in that position because he is an idiot and you think an idiot is what it takes to run this country? Because that's really the only two ways to look at that. If he speaks down to his crowds on purpose, he's assuming and quite frankly, flat out saying, you guys are fucking stupid. And if he's not doing that on purpose, then he's fucking stupid. So which is it?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's like an unfair comparison. That's just the way it is. And again, I'm sorry, this level of disrespect for everyone who isn't rich and white, whether he realizes it or not, he exudes this over and over and over again. And I'm amazed at how the MAGA cult keeps eating this shit up like it's fucking cream. Oh yeah, they're licking his neck pussy.
It's such a disturbing visual.
I know it is, but it's true, and you've seen the pictures.
Have you seen, did I send you the picture of the two houses? One has got a Trump sign on it, Trump Vance, and the house next door has got the picture of Kamala
doing
with her hand on her chin looking at it like... Freaking beautiful. Freaking beautiful. But I want to get into a conversation today about you don't see very many Harris Walz signs out there.
No, you don't.
And what I tell people, the reason for that is we are not a cult.
Not only that, Okay. Like I see it some here and there, but I think that it's twofold. One, I think a lot of people, whether they're Trump supporters or they're Harris Walz supporters, they're afraid to put their opinion on their front lawn like that.
Yes.
I think it's more so.
That was going to be my next statement, was people do not want any backlash whatsoever. I call the Harris Walz camp of people who want to vote for Harrison Walz tend to be the silent majority, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, look, the thing that we've learned in the last 8 years is that merchandise is really everything to the Republican Party.
Yes.
They want to
sell.
Yeah, it's really how many different images can we deify this person with? And I think that kind of turned off a lot of Democrats. Not just because it was Trump or anything like that, just the idea of this, it's such blatant, disgusting merchandising. You know what I mean? Like if you go to a Trump rally, it's like going through a fucking flea market. You know, like there's rows upon rows of people selling merchandise and table after table and vendor after vendor. And it's like,
here's a golf ball. I turned it into a necklace with the image of Trump on it.
Yeah, it kind of became, and MAGA doesn't know this yet. They just don't. They're not very self-aware on this one. It's become almost a parody of itself.
Yeah.
Because when you see somebody that's got all the Trump stickers on their vehicle and all the fucking flags in their yard and hanging all the shit and wearing the hat and wearing the shirts and wearing the shoes, like that was when he jumped the shark with the shoes and the trading cards. Those were two things that I thought, my God, this guy literally doesn't give a shit. Bibles.
The Bible.
Yeah. So the Bible, the shoes, and the trading cards, that was jumping the shark. But he was leaning so far into it too. That's the other thing that, like, you don't understand. This guy is just trying to sell you shit, right?
Yeah.
And even trying to sell you on the fact that he is the one that should be in the Oval Office. And you don't see that? How can you not see that? You know, I've often said, when it comes to religion, they expect you to take it on faith. But nothing else in your life are you expected, or do you take on faith? You don't take your financial advisor telling you, don't worry, have faith in me. That's not the guy that you want fucking running your money, I guarantee it. You don't talk to your banker and have them go, oh, you don't have to look at the loan. Have faith in me. I wouldn't do anything to screw you on your APR. No, I want to read the fucking contract. Right? But that's what he's doing with the Republican Party and specifically the MAGA supporters. It's have faith in me.
For not doing the research.
You know, have faith in me. Have faith in me. What do you got to lose? He actually said that he brought out that dusty old fucking line. What do you have to lose? Well, we know now what we have to lose.
Yeah.
The Republic. That's what we have to fucking lose. I think it's pretty fucking simple what we have to lose. But look, again, I want to give people some of the ammo so that when they have these conversations with friends and family, they don't have to rely on being politically savvy. They can literally just go, he doesn't make the grade when it comes to character. And if you compare his character to Kamala's character, however flawed she may be, he is far, far worse. He's in a whole different ballgame. All right, so let's look at his business practices like we briefly talked about. He faced numerous lawsuits and accusations related to unethical business practices, including bankruptcy filings and a failure to pay contractors. Personality and temperament. Critics often point to Trump's impulsive behavior, lack of patience, and a tendency to make decisions based on emotion rather than careful consideration. Again, this is absolutely true, and there are many examples of this that you can show to the supporters, and for them to deny that is for them to lie to themselves. His communication style. He's often blunt, aggressive communication style, including frequent insults and confrontational language, has raised concerns about professionalism and diplomacy. Exactly. Now, you may say, well, when he called Little Kim Little Rocket Man, right? That all worked out into, this love affair between them. Well, why do we want a love affair between Kim Jong-un and the president of the United States? That's the first thing. Why would we want that? Secondly, why would we want a president calling leader of another country that has nuclear arms that already doesn't like us, Little Rocket Man? You're toying with something that you shouldn't be fucking toying with. You know what I mean? You don't just stick your hand in front of a cobra. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't.
You know what? Did Mexico pay for the wall?
No.
Was Trump too busy to play golf like he said he would be?
No. He actually played, I believe, more golf than anyone else and cost the United States taxpayers more money in golf than you would ever imagine. I forget what the number was, but it's a huge number. It's in the millions. And then on top of that, profited off of that because he always played at his own courses and charged the United States government to put up his secret service at a premium. Okay? I mean, like he was even charged. I wouldn't be surprised if he was at his own golf course where he's not just a member, he owns the motherfucker. I'll put money on it. If they looked, they would see that he was charging the taxpayers for each round of golf. Like full price or more.
For his room, probably.
For his room, even. None of this would surprise me. I would love to see a detailed report on that.
Did he repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act? Like
No. And he's still upset about
economic growth by 4% in a year, like he said he would.
Not that I'm aware of.
Did he eliminate the deficit like he said he would?
No. In fact, he added more than any previous president.
That would be correct. Did he revive coal or bring down drug prices?
No.
Did he end North Korea or Iran's nuclear programs like he said he would?
No, but he did fall in love with Kim Jong-un.
Did he end the opioid crisis like he said he would?
No, it actually got worse.
Did he release his tax returns after the audit like he said he would?
No. And those are just some of the things that people can talk about. But like I said, let's get back to these character issues, right? So, his attention to detail. What was it? I have concepts of plans?
Yeah.
Just
like I shared with you, I think that meme that was a blank black page and it says, this is the concept of a meme.
Yeah, exactly. So he was registered to run for president, right? I think he had done that like 2 months into his own presidency for the next term or for the next run. He's had 3.5 years to try to go back and go.
2 of those years, he had the presidency, the Senate, and the House.
Right, but forget all that. Forget all the benefits because it's always a grievance. Like everything's unfair to him, no matter how much he wins. I still could have won better, and if it wasn't for them cheating, and blah, 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 blah. Go back, January 20th, 2021, from the moment he hopped on the plane. If he knew he was going to run again, that wasn't even a question. That has given him 3.5 years to reflect on what he was unable to do as president for the American people and come up with...
Reflections are the way he gets busted.
And he comes to a debate like 60 days away from the election. And when talking about, it was healthcare, I think that question was about. He says, I have concepts. What the fuck were you doing for the last 3.5 years? You had plenty of time to really refine everything it was that you wanted to accomplish, everything that it was that you wanted to do that you weren't able to do. Everything that you would have done in that second term that you were not able to do because you lost.
You know what he was doing.
Why would you not have plans?
Actual audio of Trump planning. Or
yeah, that's it. I mean, I think they said that out of the 4 years that he was in office, 1 full year was basically dedicated to golf.
Yeah. In 4 years' time, he golfed almost twice as much as Obama did in 8 years.
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're spending that much time golfing,
man invited the Taliban to Camp David.
Yeah. But if you're spending that much time golfing, okay, even if it helps you clear your head, even if you consider that exercise, even if, when you're doing it on your own golf course and you're going to tell the American people that you're going to take care of their taxes, you're going to lower their taxes, but you're spending their money on your golf game at your golf resort and charging them a premium, I'm finding it difficult to believe that you're actually working for the people. I have a feeling that you might be working for yourself. He took his
presidential pay and gave it away.
Great. He didn't need that presidential pay. It's called a loss leader, right? So as an example, a store might have something that they put on sale that they lose a certain amount of money on every piece that goes out the door. Why would they do that? Why? God, why? Let's say it's tortilla chips. Okay? So every bag of tortilla chips, their store brand of tortilla chips, right? So let's say it's one of those things where it's like, the store brand is like, everyone loves that brand, right? So it's like Costco has their Kirkland, right? So let's say it's Kirkland, it's Kirkland fucking chips, right?
Yep.
Well, what are they going to have next to those chips that they're going to lose $1 a bag on? They're going to have salsa. Exactly. That they make $2 on. They're not losing, but there's the idea of loss, right? There's that concept of loss, right? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he was doing. I'm going to distract you like a magician. I'm going to distract you by giving away my presidential check with my left hand as I reach into your pocket and pull out all the money in your wallet. And that's exactly what he did.
We're gonna build these walls. What? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the steel that came for those crappy walls that he built owned by a Russian oligarch?
You know what? I don't know that, but that would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I would not be surprised. Because everything is transactional. Everything is transactional. I give you this, you give me that, and I will make that deal if I feel like I'm making it in my benefit, or if I feel like you'll owe me down the road. And that's what this is. So I think where we're at is this interesting time where we have less than 60 days before the election. And that is terrifying for a number of reasons. One, it's terrifying because he's still in the game. No matter what the polls are showing, you have to assume that he's still in the game. And most of the polls are within the margin of error. So I hope that pollster's right. I hope that it's a landslide. I hope it's 486. How many total votes are available? Electoral votes, do you know? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Great question.
I know I knew this, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. I want to say 512 or something like that. But the bottom line is unless it's really a blowout of that nature, I mean, like he's going to cause a problem, whether it's a blowout or whether it's a small amount.
538.
538. Okay. And they're saying 486 for Kamala, which basically means he wins Florida and Georgia or Alabama or something like that. Texas, yeah. So I could see that. But I do think that there is...
It's all the dumb states.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll put money on it. I'll put money on it that you'll be able to track where they are in education in the country and where the vote went.
I was here. Don't mess with Texas. I'm just always, what's your punk ass going to do about it?
Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. So what I want to encourage people to do is I want you to think about it in terms of, you don't have to make the argument on policy. I know a lot of people don't want to have that conversation, or they don't feel that they're comfortable enough to have that conversation. They don't feel like they're educated enough or that they're quick enough, because a lot of these MAGA people, they have memorized their scripts very, very well, and they can throw at you 100 distractions, and you feel like, oh my God, well, maybe I need to go back and do my homework. But you don't. You can simply make this about character. And the bottom line is, Trump does not have the character to represent the United States on the world stage. Trump does not have the character to have the most important job in the world, and the most powerful job in the world. He's already shown us that he cannot handle it. And he's already shown us that if he's given a fucking clean room, when he leaves, it will be destroyed, because that's what he did to the economy. He was given.
We want to go on the record right now and offer Donald Trump $10 if he repeats the line, "It ain't easy being cheesy."
You fucker. I was taking a sip of whiskey when you hit me with that, fucker.
It ain't easy being cheesy.
So I don't know, man. I think the momentum is definitely at Kamala's back, but I think that this is one of the things where everyone, and I'm talking everyone, look, we've got a listener in Germany. And the only thing I can think of is the reason why they're listening to us is because they're probably from America, right? I hope that they're German. I hope that they're German. I hope that they enjoy the show. Same with Spain and Uruguay and all these other places all over the world where we're starting to get these new listeners. I literally hope that you guys,
Konnichiwa for those in Japan.
I hope you guys are native to your country. But if you're not, I hope that if you're listening to us, we're helping you fill the void of loneliness, maybe being away from family. I've got some family members that are working, actually one that's working in Germany, but I know for a fact that that's not the person that's listening, because I actually asked him, I'm like, are you the one listening in Germany? He's like, no, I didn't even know you were fucking doing that. But we've got them in Spain. We've got them in Uruguay. We got like all these different places. Sweden. All these places that I never in a million years would have thought would have tuned into us, much less tuned into us on a regular. And first off, I want to say thank you. And secondly, even though this is about American politics, and maybe you can vote because you're just, out of town for work, or maybe you can't vote because you're a citizen of that country, whatever the case may be, have the conversation. And the conversation is simple. I don't care what happened from the moment he declared he was running for president to today. None of those stories matter. I care about who the man was prior to that for the vast majority of his life. That's how we can tell who he's going to be for the rest of his life. And he was not a person of character. No. And there are so many examples, whether you're talking about the Central Park Five, whether you're talking about the lawsuits because he didn't want to rent any apartments to black people. That's where he started. That's who he is. Calling up, news organizations. And before,
USFL was doing okay until he bought the Washington Generals or whatever they were.
Yeah. He doesn't.
I keep saying Washington Generals. I don't know if that's correct, but I do know that the Harlem Globetrotters played the Washington Generals.
Yes, that's true.
That's probably
what's stuck in your head. But this is one of those things where it's like, have the conversation and go, look, we don't even have to talk about policy or any of that stuff. Just look at the character of the man. And the character of the man was in existence far longer than the last 8-9 years. 10 years. Okay? So we can take those 10 years and completely cut that out of the mix as far as how we're making our decision. This is what should have been done in 2016, but wasn't done. And I get it. I understand why that happened. There's a lot of reasons, but the main ones were people were just sick of the political machine as it sat, and they wanted somebody to disrupt it. And he came in and he fucking did exactly that. But the problem is he wouldn't go away when he lost. You picked a great disruptor, but also the worst person you could have to disrupt. And he didn't leave it better than he found it. And I don't care if he had to deal with COVID. At the end of the day, January 20th to January 20th, those are his numbers. And they were worse when he left than they were when he walked into office. That's it. End of story.
And
there's nothing more to be talked about.
I want to emphasize that regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on, remember that friends are still friends. Family is still family, regardless of what policies they believe in.
You are so much
Be
nicer.
kind to each other.
Yeah, you're so much nicer than me, because fuck that. Fuck that. Okay? Once I know you're a fucking moron, you're going to be a fucking moron for the rest of my fucking life. There's no two ways about it. There are some family members that are so fucking stupid. And this is the thing, okay? I know that I should second what you just said. I know that I should say that. I know it. I know I should, okay? But here's the difference. You were always the teddy bear. I was always the little fucking honey badger. Okay, so to me,
honey badger don't care.
Honey badgers don't care.
Give a shit.
Honey badgers don't care. So I do have a different view on that, and I think, yes, when that person comes and says, "You know what, you were right, I was wrong. All right, come here, give me a hug. Let's just put this behind us." But not until then. Until then, go fuck yourself. Okay? Because honey badger don't care.
You sound like me.
Honey badger don't care. I just don't think that you can allow people. All right. So I used to have this conversation with Mom all the time regarding family, specifically our aunt. And I would ask her, why will you let a family member treat you worse than you would a friend? And she would say, because they're family. And I said, yeah. So you have no choice but for them to be your family. You do have a choice on whether or not you allow them to treat you worse than you would allow a friend. And that is how I handle it. That's how I view it. And maybe it's closed-minded. Maybe it's a small view. But to me, I'm willing to forgive anyone. Not willing to forget. But I am willing to forgive. But you have to come forward and go, you know what? I was wrong. I fucked up. I voted for Trump once. I voted for him twice. Whatever.
That goes in line with my whole idea. My little choo-choo train just fell off.
Well, that's okay, because I think that the combined sentiment of you saying, remember, these are your friends, these are your family members, and me saying, yeah, but let's not forget that they're fucking stupid. And don't let them treat you worse than you would let a friend treat you. I think that those two things combined, that's actually a good place to leave it. You don't have to let your relationships with your friends and family go to sideways, but you do have to make sure that they are maintained in a way where they're not impeding on either side. You have to be willing to give and to get, not just to get.
I have a rule of thumb in life. Briefly, I forgot. Now I remember where I was going, which is upon meeting some people, I'm reminded, you got to have respect, give them respect. No, respect is earned, not just given.
Correct. Exactly. So for it to be respectful on both sides, it has to be a situation where we go, we're going to all accept whatever the final count is. Regardless of whether or not Trump accepts it is irrelevant. Whether or not Kamala accepts it is irrelevant. We, the people, we're the ones that are in charge here. So we need to agree as the collective that we accept whatever the results are, and fuck the politicians. And with that, that's another Elsie's Little Pickles.